A great Tuesday to all of Patriots Nation. I woke up today already thinking about the 14th because we know another tough battle is on the way. And if there's one thing this team has taught us, it's that nothing is impossible when there's hard work, unity, and heart on the field. Of course, there's still a lot to improve, but we can't put our heads down. The season has started on fire, and every game feels like a final. The Super Bowl isn't won in February. It starts being won right now, in every snap, every play, every detail. And if we want to get our hands on that trophy again, we need focus, determination, and fire in our eyes from the first to the last minute. And here's what makes all the difference: our fans. Yes, it's us who push this team forward inside the stadium, who make the difference with our chants, our energy, and our support. The strength that comes from the stands reaches the field and turns players into warriors. So Patriots family, make sure to smash that like button because it helps a lot, and drop a comment down below with a message of support. Let's fill the comment section with positive energy and love for our team, because together, fans and players, we'll fight until the end for victory. Go Pats! What happened Sunday against the Raiders is the kind of game that leaves everyone shaking their heads and wondering if this team really has the answers it needs. The Patriots fell 20-13, but the final score doesn't fully explain the frustration fans felt watching the performance, especially when you compare the first half to the second. Early on, it looked like Josh McDaniels had something cooking. The offense moved the ball, the line gave Drake Maye time, and there was even a creative 3rd-and-1 play, lining up for the tush push before flipping it to Trevin Henderson on a sweep that worked perfectly. In that moment, it felt like we might finally be watching a Patriots offense that could find rhythm again. But then came halftime, and with it, the collapse. This is where great coaches make adjustments. You see it from people like Pete Carroll. And instead of rising, McDaniels' unit just completely fell apart. The second half was a nightmare. An interception, 3 straight 3-and-outs, another punt, and finally, a meaningless field goal with less than 20 seconds left. The difference between the two halves was so stark, it was almost embarrassing to watch. What began with hope ended with the familiar frustration of stalled drives and wasted opportunities. And it begs the question many of you are already asking: is Josh McDaniels really the right man to run this offense in 2025? Look at Drake Maye's numbers, and on paper, they don't look bad. 30 completions on 46 attempts, 287 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But dig deeper, and you'll see the problem.
So much of that yardage came in garbage time when the Raiders were already in control. In the moments that mattered, he wasn't delivering. Worse, he had time to throw. The offensive line, especially Will Campbell, held up well for most of the game. The one strip sack wasn't even on Campbell. It was Rhamondre Stevenson missing his blocking assignment on the edge. But despite the protection, Maye too often looked hesitant, stuck scanning the field with open receivers slipping away. Keyshawn Bout was creating separation. Pop Douglas was available. Hunter Henry had opportunities, and yet Maye missed them. It wasn't just play calling holding the team back. The rookie quarterback has to sharpen his field vision and decision-making. Still, you can't ignore the bigger offensive picture. Stevenson, supposed to be the engine of this attack, had 7 carries for a pitiful 15 yards, just 2.1 yards per attempt. That is nowhere near acceptable for a starting back. Henderson had 5 carries for 27 yards, but that wasn't nearly enough to establish the ground game, especially in the kind of rainy, messy weather that begged for control on the ground. And this was after we'd watched Geno Smith light it up for 360 yards elsewhere in the league that same day. The Patriots' approach on offense felt both unimaginative and toothless, a formula that just doesn't win games in today's NFL. Stephon Diggs, in his return from a torn ACL, was a bright spot, 6 catches for 57 yards. It's not headline grabbing, but it's something you can build on, especially knowing he'll only improve as he gets more comfortable. But that lone positive couldn't cover up the lack of identity in McDaniels' game plan. Too many screen passes on first down, too many predictable looks, too little trust in taking shots or putting Maye in position to succeed. Fans have every right to question whether this is déjà vu from McDaniels' last ugly stretch in 2021, because what we saw yesterday looked awfully familiar. And then there's the defense. If the offense left us scratching our heads, the defense had moments that were downright maddening. Think back to the Raiders' opening touchdown, Trey Tucker burning down the field. The Patriots called a blitz, but only from the edges. Instead of pushing the pocket, both Milton Williams and Christian Barmore dropped into coverage. Yes, you heard that right. 2 massive defensive tackles asked to cover space instead of pressure the quarterback. Unsurprisingly, it was a disaster. Tucker completely torched Jalen Hawkins on that play, and the Patriots paid for one of the strangest decisions you'll ever see. Why are your biggest bodies backing up instead of attacking? That single choice summed up a defense that looked confused and misused. And the safety play, well, it was a glaring weakness. PFF grades confirmed what we all saw with our eyes. Craig Woodson posted a 68.3 overall grade, with coverage at 60.9, far from elite. Jalen Hawkins, a brutal 43.4 overall, with a coverage grade of just 44.6. That ranked him 38th out of 42 safeties across the league this weekend. Patriots fans, you don't need analytics to tell you what you saw. Hawkins was constantly a step behind, constantly out of position, and simply not good enough. And that leads us back to the decision that has fans everywhere boiling. Why cut Jabril Peppers? Why take away one of the few reliable safeties this team had? Kyle Duggar wasn't even visible out there, and instead the staff trusted Hawkins and Woodson, with results that should worry every single person who bleeds Patriots red, white, and blue. You can't help but wonder, if Peppers is still on this roster, does Tucker's touchdown happen? Does Dante Thornton's deep catch later in the game get broken up with a veteran safety reading the field properly? These are the kinds of questions that sting, because they point to roster choices made by Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams that already look like major miscalculations. It feels like this team deliberately weakened itself at a crucial position, and the price is already being paid. The good news, if you can call it that, is that the Patriots have a chance to regroup quickly. Next week it's Miami, and yes, the Dolphins just got demolished 33-8. That should offer hope. But let's be honest, if New England drops that one and starts the season 0-2, the sky may already be falling in Foxborough. A Week 2 matchup shouldn't be called must-win, but this one feels close. Because if the same issues show up again, if McDaniels can't adjust, if Maye hesitates, if the safeties blow coverages, then it won't just be overreaction Monday anymore. It'll be reality settling in. Now I want to hear it from you. Should Josh McDaniels still be running this offense? Should the team have kept Jabril Peppers instead of cutting him loose? Do you trust this staff to turn things around before the season gets out of hand? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you're still riding with this group or if your patience is already running thin. Because when you strip everything down to the core, this loss to the Raiders wasn't just about a single game in September. It felt symbolic, like a warning sign of deeper problems within the Patriots structure. For years, this franchise thrived on discipline, sharp adjustments, and a refusal to beat itself. But yesterday, that identity was nowhere to be found. Instead, it looked like a team struggling to figure out who it is and who it wants to be. The contrast between past and present was jarring. Remember, the Patriots were once the team that frustrated opponents by being the most prepared, the most efficient, the team that turned halftime adjustments into a weapon. Now, we're the ones getting outcoached, out-adjusted, and left looking predictable. That's not just a coaching issue, it's a cultural one. When players see defensive tackles dropping into coverage on opening drives, or wide-open receivers being missed because the quarterback is slow to process, it chips away at belief. And in the NFL, belief is everything. Drake Maye is at the center of this storm. Fans wanted him to be the future, and make no mistake, he still can be. But games like this are where you separate rookies from rising stars. He wasn't rattled by pressure. The offensive line held up enough to give him a chance. He was rattled by decision-making, by hesitation, by missing timing windows. That's fixable, but only if the coaching staff puts him in positions to succeed. Right now, McDaniels seems more interested in forcing Maye into a rigid system than tailoring a system around his strengths. We saw flashes of what works, movement plays, play action, creative misdirection, and then it all vanished. It's almost as if the playbook shut down after halftime, and Maye was left with vanilla calls that defenses could read with ease. And let's not forget the ripple effects. When your quarterback stalls, your running game becomes irrelevant. When your safeties blow coverages, your corners can't trust help over the top. When your coaches insist on dropping 300-pound linemen into coverage, your pass rush collapses. It all ties together. That's why this wasn't just a loss, it was a blueprint of dysfunction. Fans are right to question the leadership. Mike Vrabel is supposed to bring toughness and accountability. Terrell Williams is supposed to be steady on defense. Josh McDaniels is supposed to be the offensive mind with answers. Yet, what we saw was confusion, miscommunication, and a lack of urgency. And the fact that these issues showed up in week 1 is alarming. It's one thing to stumble mid-season after injuries pile up. It's another thing entirely to look unprepared and unimaginative when the slate is clean and the team should be at its sharpest. And here's the bigger picture. The AFC East isn't waiting around for New England to figure things out. Miami, Buffalo, even the Jets, they all have talent and schemes that can expose weak safeties, punish stagnant offenses, and pile up points quickly. If the Patriots don't solve these problems now, the hole they dig could be too deep to climb out of by November. That's the reality. Which brings us back to you, the fans. You've lived through dynasties, through heartbreaks, through rebuilds. You know football, and you know when something feels off. After watching this game, are you convinced this coaching staff can make the necessary adjustments? Do you think Jerod Mayo is simply experiencing growing pains? Or are you worried the system is stunting his development? And above all, do you believe this team can avoid becoming irrelevant in a division that is only getting tougher? Drop your comments below, because your voice matters here. The Patriots are at a crossroads, and the pressure is on. One bad game can be excused. 2 in a row starts to tell a story. And if next week in Miami looks anything like yesterday in Las Vegas, the story might already be written, and it's not one Patriots fans are going to want to read. And that's exactly why this moment feels so critical. It isn't just about XS and OS, or even the scoreboard. It's about momentum, trust, and belief in a vision for the future. When fans watch the offense sputter in the same predictable patterns that haunted us years ago, it feels like deja vu. When safeties consistently get exposed, it feels like leadership ignored the obvious. And when your quarterback's growth is being questioned before he's even settled into his second professional game, that's a dangerous slope to be sliding down. The Patriots have built their identity on resilience before. Think back to the countless times critics counted this team out, only for them to answer with grit, execution, and championship-level adjustments. But this is the first true test of the post-Belichick era, and the spot